Back. Kenyetta in Redlands, California, watching us on Free Speech TV. Hey, Kenyetta, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I'm very sad today as a result of what has taken place in this nation over the last few days. I'm not the biggest USA booster in the world, but I don't like to see these kinds of things. You may recall not too long ago, some weeks ago, I mentioned to you, you were kind of reluctant to accept it, that this was coming. These types of events.
Yep.
And when Joan called, you had a caller earlier, and what she said really struck me in terms of this is a time, Tom, where the grief should unite all good people. But yet, even in this grief, I see racism. Black people, as she said, we have had our churches, we've had our little girls bombed in church a couple of years before I was born. The 16th Street Baptist Church was bombed. And always it seems that religion has it's this weird thing. The KKK burned crosses, and we've had our churches bombed. Dylan Roof, as you know, some years ago, about 3 years ago, went into a black church and killed almost as many people. There were no flags at half-staff for those black victims, as has been ordered by the president. In fact, Dylan Roof, from what I understand, was given food from Burger King after he committed this massacre. The reality is, Tom, is racism is in the DNA of the United States. The United States doesn't know how to exist without it any more than it knows how to exist without war. And this country has to acknowledge this sickness, this cancer that is part of this country before we can enter or embark upon any type of a treatment regimen.
Yeah. And we need to have an honest conversation about it, and it needs to be led from the top down, and that's certainly not a conversation that Donald Trump is going to lead. In fact, if anything, he's doing the exact opposite.
He is, and I fear that this is going to, unfortunately, this is going to get a lot worse because this is, I'm looking at the things that are in the news right now, and it's just amazing. Yeah. This country's not evolving, it's revolving. If anything, we're still talking about, we're relitigating Roe v. Wade all over again. I mean, with the Kavanaugh thing. I remember growing up with that. Yeah. I grew up with busing. Well, we're not necessarily having busing, but we're defunding all the public schools. Variation on the same thing. We still have racial violence. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it truly is. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, and it's very, very sad. It's very disheartening.
And I think Joan was absolutely right. Nate and I were talking about this. We're going to take her call and clip it out and make it a separate YouTube and put it up later this afternoon because she was so spot on in what she had to say, and that white people have to acknowledge this. And what I shared after that call that I learned over the weekend that the last Democratic president who was elected with a majority of white votes was Lyndon Johnson in '64 before the Voter Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, Voter Rights Act. That shocked me, frankly. I didn't, and I guess even exposed to all this, I had thought that there was less racial sentiment in the white community than apparently there is, Kenyetta. So
no,
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you're absolutely right. And if white America wanted this stuff to stop, it would stop.
Yeah.
And it's the conversation that white people have to have.
You're absolutely right. And it's a conversation that I am trying to lead on a regular basis here. Kenyetta, thank you so much for the call.